Doom and darkness, blood and brains. Sleep so sweet, my darling boy. You will rule when Earth's destroyed. Don't listen to him. Listen to me. Because today, it's the Demon Crowley, right here on Monster Menagerie. Welcome to Monster Menagerie, brought to you by the Paladin Archives. My name is Mason Kren. Mason's the title, Kren's the name. I am your humble host this year as we journey through the domain of demons, assessing them, breaking them down, and seeing how, if at all, the Paladin Order could contain their threat. So far this year, we've seen quite the variety of devilish denizens, from the classic horror origins of the exorcist Pazuzu to the modern delights of the radio demon Alistair. We've examined a whole host of hellish heels, but today's specimen may top our scales. Brought to you by the combined imaginations of Neil Gaiman and Sir Terry Pratchett, I give you Crowley. Good Omens, or the original book's full title, Good Omens, The Nice and Accurate Prophecies of Agnes Nutter, Witch, was a collaboration between the two authors, with both men conceding that by the end, no one was really sure who wrote what. The popularity of the novel over the years led to it finally being adapted into a television series, the source from which we will be basing our analysis of the old serpent, Crowley. That said, our standard disclaimer applies. We will be drawing only from Season 1 of Good Omens. We will not be looking at Season 2, the original novel, or any other adaptations or interpretations of the work. If you're new here, let me explain what we're doing. I'm a Mason with the Paladin Order, a clandestine organization dedicated to the eradication of supernatural evils and the protection of mankind in the name of heaven. It's an old order, and to be honest, the job around here feels more like a 9-to-5 than a holy crusade, but still, it's important work. The work is carried out by the Paladins, knights in the service of His Holiness, called to protect the lady from all that goes bump in the night. My job is to look things up. Yeah, I've been called a glorified librarian on more than one occasion, but in short, a Mason's job is simply to support the Order. My task is here in the archives, where I research, analyze, and report on threats to paladins in the field. Say they come across a creature they're not certain about. A call or text to me, and I'm pouring through the stewardship database. The stewardship is the larger facility the archives are housed in. I go through every book in the archives. I report back with the information they need and suggestions they'll hopefully utilize. Several of the other Masons and I made a lunchtime habit of analyzing monsters and whatnot from whatever movies or shows we were watching at the time. And after a while of that, I thought, hey, that could make a neat show, so here I am. Now, before we get going too deep into things, I just want to remind you all that, like last year when we broke down vampires, we're going to have a year-end show for the demons too. I have some amazing expert guests lined up to weigh in on their favorite demons as we break them all down together to determine the best of the best. It was a blast last year, and this year will be even better. You're not going to want to miss it. If you want to help out the channel, as well as make sure you don't miss any demon deconstructions, make sure you click that like button and hit subscribe. It helps the channel get recommended to more people, which in turn means I can make more content. What's this? On the day the old serpent's turn cometh, so then shall the librarian glorified stumble to upset none. but yea, the webcast worldwide shall teem with hate and remarks about his intelligence. Huh? No idea what that's all about. Where did this come from? Oh, well, let's get started, shall we? Our boy Crowley here has been playing with the fate of mankind since the very beginning. No, for real. In the Garden of Eden, with a freshly created Adam and Eve, it was Crowley himself, apparently calling himself Crawley, who appeared to the mother of humanity and tempted her to eat the apple. Why? Well, twofold, really. First, hell told him to go up and make some trouble. Being the very first temptation, Crowley had nothing to really go off of, so the apple seemed like a good idea. On top of that, he couldn't understand why knowing the difference between good and evil would be a bad thing. It was here that Crowley would meet the most important person in his life, his best friend, closest companion, perhaps more depending on your interpretation of the work, Aziraphale, principality and angel of the Eastern Gate. From moment one, you could see the two would be good friends, despite their opposing sides. And as the centuries moved forward, they only seemed to grow closer and closer. Perhaps the only two heavenly beings? Yes, demons in this franchise are just fallen angels, so collectively, heavenly beings. The only two who might ever understand each other, as being among humanity brought out the troublemaker in Aziraphale and the saint in Crowley. From the Garden of Eden, to Noah's Ark, to the crucifixion, to the French Revolution. So many historical events shared by these two, and during it all, Crowley came to a wonderful realization. As long as he and Aziraphale were both working in an area, they were effectively canceling one another out. So why do it at all? The result would be the same in the end. Bit by bit, the two began working together, sometimes helping each other, sometimes one taking both the blessing and temptation duties. Sometimes they just ignored their duties altogether to have lunch instead. But over time, Crowley realized that they were playing a dangerous game. While Aziraphale was just worried about stern lectures and disappointing his superiors, Crowley knew that his kind would kill him. He began planning for contingencies, looking for insurance, prepping for the worst. Let's fast forward to our main story, shall we? The end of the world. Hell was supposed to place the son of Satan into the care of an unsuspecting family who was having their own child at the time. But due to a mix-up, the wrong child went to the wrong family, and our little Adam, son of the devil and prince of the underworld, was born to a normal English family. Our two heavenly hosts had a genius idea to raise the child too. Aziraphale would influence the young Antichrist for good, and Crowley for evil, hopefully canceling one another out and resulting in just a normal young boy. Too bad they had the wrong kid. So, with the apocalypse days away, heaven and hell getting suspicious, the riders of the end times on their way, and the Antichrist settling into his powers, Crowley and Aziraphale had their work cut out for them. A bit late for a spoiler warning here, but in the end, the two pull it off. With the help of a witch finder, the Antichrist himself, and even a hellhound turned pupper named Dog. With some clever thinking, the pair managed to evade any consequences from their respective sides by pulling the proverbial wool over their eyes, the old switcheroo. Clever, imaginative, powerful, Crowley is an intimidating adversary, but one with a weakness for humanity. Let's see exactly what he can do with all that power. We're going to need to do a little diversion here before we get started on analyzing Crowley's powers. If you're not familiar with the term, allow me to introduce you to the concept of hard magic versus soft magic. When a character in fiction has powers, not even necessarily magic, but something that sets them apart from the rest of the characters, those powers operate based on rules. For hard magic, my personal preference, the rules are hard and fast. Their powers can be laid out on a list. how they work, how often they can be utilized, how they affect the world around them, etc., etc. All of it by more or less hard rules that are only broken on rare occasions when it helps the protagonist grow, or maybe the writer just forgot. A good example of hard magic would be D&D. What does Fireball do? Well, from D&D Beyond, a bright streak flashes from your pointing finger to a point you choose within range and then blossoms with a low roar into an explosion of flame. Each creature within 20 feet radius sphere centered on that point must make a dexterity saving throw. It has a range of 150 feet and deals 8d6 fire damage. How's that for hard rules? Too nerdy? Okay, how about we try something more like the X-Men or Spider-Man? We all know what Cyclops can do, energy beams from his eyes. Spider-Man, anything a spider can, so super strength, agility, and spider sense. It's written out, and we can know reliably whether a character is spec'd for a particular challenge or not. Soft magic, on the other hand, really only has one rule: whatever the plot needs it to do. That goes for its shortfalls, too. Soft magic users don't have a defined set of powers, more just a general magic. Think Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings. What exactly are his powers? We know he's a very powerful wizard, but I bet most of you, if put on the spot, would be hard-pressed to tell me what his magic can do. Can he shoot fireballs? Maybe. Cast lightning? I have no idea. Crowley, and of course his companion Aziraphale, fall squarely into the soft magic camp. Their power comes in the form of miracles. What does that mean? Well, if it furthers the plot or just looks cool, they can probably do it. If it solves a major problem, then it's beyond their reach. Aziraphale mentions that he used his miracles too frivolously during his meeting with Crowley at the Bastille. So much paperwork. Bureaucracy, it seems, is even stronger than magic. But Crowley, bound by no such scruples, uses a demonic miracle to get his friend out of trouble. But you know who he doesn't get out of trouble? Me. I can give you examples of things Crowley's done, but I cannot tell you what the limit of his powers are. The show seems to imply that perhaps demonic miracles and divine miracles are different in some way. Aziraphale seems bothered that he can't properly miracle away a stain on his jacket, but Crowley does so with a quick blow. I do have a theory, though. In episode 5, we learn that Crowley has something that no other demon has.
An imagination. Right now, he is imagining that he is just fine and that a ton of burning metal, rubber, and leather is a fully functioning car.
Imagination. I think the capabilities of Crowley, Aziraphale, and any other celestial being are based solely on their imagination. Think, the Green Lanterns. Ah, not those ones. Okay, yeah, sure, those will do. In DC Comics, yes, I know the C in DC stands for comics, but it's confusing without it. Give me a break. The Green Lantern Corps are a group of guardians who utilize special power rings to create constructs. These constructs can take the form of whatever the bearer imagines, so the more talented lanterns are those with better imagination. I get the same vibe from miracles and good omens. Both angels and demons seem pretty unimaginative, but Crowley, he's been with the humans literally since day one. Aziraphale is the only angel that can dance. Crowley is the only demon with an imagination. And I believe that possessing such a gift allows him to create whatever he thinks he's capable of. Now, the key here is that it's what he thinks he can do. I don't think he's aware of his limitations or capabilities. He just is. With that in mind, let's take a look at the confirmed abilities of Crowley. Shapeshifting is a big one for Crowley. We first meet him as he takes the form of a serpent, tempting Eve in the Garden of Eden. He flashes a demonic visage to scare the crap out of a corporate paintballer. He also takes the form of a nanny in his attempt to raise the Antichrist. Notably, in all his human forms, he maintains snake eyes. I find that strange. He goes out of his way to hide the snake eyes with various sunglasses throughout the centuries, insinuating that he can't change those. Yet, in the last episode, when he and Aziraphale swap forms to fool heaven and hell, he has no issues with his eyes while impersonating his angelic comrade. Telekinesis is a given for all the little things he does. It's the simplest answer for unlocking car doors, turning his lights off, and otherwise interacting with physical objects at a distance. He can sober up by, I think, removing the alcohol from his system. He can apparently smell change, as he noted, via smelling, that the Antichrist and his hellhound had found one another.
Something's changed. The hellhound has found its master.
He can talk to plants, well, terrify them, repair his headlights, transmute paintball rifles into automatic rifles with real ammunition, even freeze people and force them into hypnotic states. He can cancel Aziraphale's light, freeze time itself, and is apparently not bound by physics. That last one is a real doozy. In the show, we see that he can alter his shape and size to anything he wants, really. This allows him to become as small as an electron, allowing him, somehow, to pass through a phone line. I'm not getting into the science behind that one, or I'll be here all day. Now, I have to imagine that whatever the other demons can do, Crowley can do, so really quick, let's tack those on too, shall we? We have lightning summoning, killing humans with a snap, and of course, you know, that old chestnut devouring a room full of humans as a horde of maggots. Lovely. Before we wrap up this concerningly long list of abilities, I want to take a look at one thing. That freaking fire. That towering wall of flames incinerates Hastur. Gone. We know that disincorporating, which is the death of an angel or demon's body, is basically just normal death. Aziraphale was concerned about this at the Bastille. That leads me to believe that a celestial being's body is at least as resilient as ours. That fire turned Hastur into ash in seconds. A crematorium, the place that turns a body into ash and bone, takes at least 3 hours to burn down a body at a temperature of 1400 to 2000 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 760 to 1093 Celsius. I don't know how hot that wall of fire is, but it is insanely high to incinerate a body in seconds, and Crowley survives it purely based on willpower and imagination. Damn, this might be our toughest demon. Let's see if there's even a way to hurt him. We see 3 things in the television show that offer us a chance at actually harming Crowley. First and foremost, let's not bury the lead. Holy water. Crowley requests some of it from Aziraphale and his companion refuses, calling it a suicide pill. The ultimate weapon against demons, it seems that holy water not only kills their body, disincorporating them, it kills their soul. Obliteration. I want to make it clear, in general, the Paladin Order doesn't consider killing a demon to be a viable tactic. Or possible, for that matter. We exorcise them. And technically you can kill them if you manage to kill the host body, but that's complicated and it has a lot of caveats. But even then, the demons aren't obliterated. They can return someday, given time and access to souls. But something as simple as holy water can absolutely eradicate a demon in the Good Omens universe. Good to know. After that, we see that the death of their human body, at least with Aziraphale and Hastur, sends them back to their respective headquarters. They can't return unless they possess a body or get assigned a new one. Lastly, during the Blitz in World War II, Crowley enters a church to help Aziraphale as he's being set up by God dang it, almost did it again. Bad Germans. Hi, YouTube. Anyway, as he walks through the church, Crowley is hopping from foot to foot, claiming it's like walking barefoot on the beach. This suggests that hallowed ground is painful to him. Interesting. As dangerous as he is, there just might be a way to fight back. Let's see what the Paladins might try to employ. Okay, so here's the problem. Crowley is both extremely easy to defeat and extremely hard to defeat at the same time. On the one hand, holy water is extraordinarily easy for the paladins to obtain. Hell, I know some hunters out there that keep super soakers full of the stuff. But Crowley has 1,000 ways to subvert it. Disappear into a phone, freeze time, hypnotize the knights sent after him, turn their weapons into bouquets of flowers. I have to give this some real thought. With Hellboy, use some holy relics and shoot the crap out of him. Pazuzu, exorcise him. Morrigan, unleash a small arsenal on her. But Crowley? It could really change depending on context. First, we'd have to find him. I feel like he can teleport, but I don't really see it. Furthermore, I don't even see him use those wings of his. I mean, if he really could use them, why wouldn't he just fly over the towering wall of flames? So we'll assume he has to flee in more conventional ways. The Bentley is going to be his main means of conveyance, I should think. If he runs, he'll flee in it. I wouldn't want to preemptively destroy it. Maybe tow it or boot it. Just not harm it in a way that's significant before the encounter. He values that car so much his anger could grant him the power that the Order can't overcome. Now, assuming we just need to take him down to stop him, just disincorporate him, it shouldn't be too hard. Distract him, catch him in the middle of enjoying some fine wine. Hell, catch him in the middle of a discussion with a Aziraphale. Snipe him. Sure, he'll come back, but like I said, that's more or less the same mechanics we're working with in our world. But what about an actual confrontation with him? He's quite clever in some ways. I mean, he didn't unplug the answering machine he trapped Hastur in, so the very next call freed him, but still, he's cleverer than most demons.
Just imagine how awful it might have been if we'd been at all competent.
Knowing that he's affected by both holy water and hallowed ground gives me hope that relics would be useful against him. A cross, blessed silver, whatever we can dig up. Definitely wouldn't make this my primary suggestion, though. Again, I feel like the miracle thing is based on imagination, and we see several times where he's stymied, unable to move forward because he simply can't think or doesn't have the time to come up with something. Crowley has the potential to be the most dangerous demon we've looked at this year. Absolutely. But he also has the potential to be another Dracula, to have a weakness so easy to exploit that the rest of his resume means effectively nothing. I did a bunch of soul searching. I really want to say that Crowley is a deadly force to be feared, but he's not. Potentially? Sure, he could potentially destroy last year's Vampire of Vampires, Ceres Victoria, with a thought. But realistically? No, I don't see him doing it, or thinking to do it. Crowley is a demon. He wants to be thought of as evil when Aziraphale points out the good in him, but really he just wants to drink some nice wine and wear some nice suits and occasionally poke humans that deserve it. He has neither the motivation nor the desire to actually commit evil. He's bad at being a demon. If I'm being honest, I think we could even get Crowley to work with us. You see, in the Order, we have a designation for certain, Midianites. Vampires, werewolves, what have you, that are considered either non-aggressive toward the Order or even cooperative. The term is sanctified. In fact, there's a sanctified Lycan that used to be a guest lecturer at the Eastern Academy a few years back. It's perfect. I mean, the Order's never offered such a deal to a demon before, considering that every demon we've ever encountered has been bent on the death and suffering of mankind. But I think Crowley could swing it. Plus, you gotta imagine a title like Sanctified would annoy the heaven out of him. As a Mason, my job in the Paladin Order is to break down and analyze threats relayed to me by Paladins in the field. They may come across a witch whose magic seems off, or a fuzzy creature they can't identify. Whatever the case, I do my job here at the Stewardship, specifically here in the Archives. Research, assess, and report. Or as we like to say in the Archives, rawr! Because it sounds like Like, rawr, like, never mind. Anyway, part of that report I give to paladins is the threat level. It's basically shorthand for just how threatening a creature is. Now, technically the scale goes from 1 to 10, but realistically it tops out at 6. The rest is, well, I suppose just in case. What did Qui-Gon say? There's always a bigger fish. I am not doing myself any favors on the nerd front today. Point is, the threat level is something that can tell a paladin, at a glance, what they might be up against. A 1 is something like, a wayward celestial being that was assigned to guard against humanity's return to paradise, but whose soft nature forced them to not only give away a god-forged relic, but to ingrain themselves into human society through some quaint, innocuous method like, a bookstore. Sure, let's say that said celestial was bullied into helping their friend tempt a local baker into charging too much for his goods because he was the only shop in the neighborhood. That'd be a threat level 1. One paladin gets sent out to politely ask him to stop and maybe bring him a cucumber and watercress sandwich to help him calm down when he starts crying from guilt. In and out, 20-minute job. A 10? I mean, that might be something like, say, a creator being deciding by unknowable motivations to engage humanity in an ineffable game of their own devising, one with infinite stakes and rules that are never expressed clearly, but which every player on Earth has a different, unbending, contradicting understanding of, forcing all of us to wade in the darkness, hoping against hope that our interpretation will allow us some modicum of advantage as we blindly reach for cards we can never hope to read and pieces we can never hope to move, knowing that at any moment our game can end prematurely, or perhaps even worse, linger on in perpetuity, an eternal blindness from which only our self-delusions can grant us any glimmer of respite. I mean, it's almost not worth thinking about. In considering Crowley's threat level, I have to not only consider what he can theoretically do, I have to consider what he's likely to do. His mindset, his motivations, his history. You can give Winnie the Pooh the nuclear launch codes, but he's still probably going to get his head stuck in Rabbit's hole. So too with Crowley. While he might be able to kill a paladin with a snap of his fingers, he's more likely to panic, run, and get himself in deeper trouble. Sure, he made a plan to throw off Hastur and Liger, and even killing the former, but his plan ended pretty much right there. And come on, he killed one with a frickin' bucket trap. Had he put the water in the spray bottle like he was threatening Hastur with from the beginning, he might have been able to just kill them both. And let's look at the holy water acquisition in the first place. He meets Aziraphale in London, 1862, and asks for some. That's the earliest we know he wants it and knows his angel can acquire it. It's not until 1941, during World War II, that Crowley figures out that churches just have holy water sitting out in fonts. Like, anyone could just walk up and take some. I personally have a vial of holy water from the Vatican when I went there on vacation once. It's there to be used. And still, it wasn't until 1967 that we see him actually act on this knowledge. He puts together a heist crew, spending £300 per person to secure holy water. It took him over 100 years to figure out how to obtain holy water, and even then, he did it the most obtuse, incredibly silly way possible. It is for that reason that I, with some hesitation, and in the knowledge that I might get destroyed online, assign Crowley a threat level of 1. Next, we need to assign Crowley a demon class. Unlike his threat level, this has nothing to do with how dangerous he is. A class type lets a paladin know what kind of demon we're working with. Now, most of our demons this year have been class 3s. Hellboy, Morrigan, Azrael, all sentient, self-sufficient, and don't need a host to maintain their presence on Earth. That last part is key. But thanks to Aziraphale, we learn that celestial beings are granted, or assigned, bodies to go to Earth in. Disincorporating, their form of death, is the separation of their soul from that body via destruction of said vessel. Without that vessel, they can still come to Earth, but they need a host to help maintain their grasp. Aziraphale blatantly says that possession, the thing he's doing with Madame Tracy, is a demon trait. So it stands to reason that if Crowley is disincorporated, he'd need a host to stay on Earth. Ergo, he fits snugly into a Class 2 demon. Paperwork time. And you know what? We're going to do something a little different. Like I said before, this could use some nuance. So I'm breaking my suggestions down into 3 parts: kill, subdue, and de-escalate. We'll assume that under the kill recommendations, Crowley has lost it. Maybe someone killed Aziraphale and now he's smiting humans left and right. For subdue, we just need to assume he's being an asshole and needs to be stopped, if even only temporarily. And de-escalate, we'll assume he's reasonable and can be talked down. Kill. Utilize London area traffic cameras to track his vintage Bentley, equipped with weaponized assault tools for exorcising renegades, or water guns, to dispense holy water and silence the target. Jamming local area signals should prevent him from escaping via phone lines. Subdue. Shoot him. Lead target to less populated area. Utilize ranged attacks with standard ammunition. Focus on stealth. Do not give the target time to think. De-escalate. Approach target unarmed. Present with a gift of fine wine. Offer status of sanctified. Call his boyfriend. Do not laugh. Parish level paladins may be dispatched for all options. Okay, that was a little bit silly, but I had fun. Did you? I gotta say, when I started Good Omens, I was not expecting to rank Crowley a 1. Every time he performed another demonic miracle, fixing his headlights, shape-shifting, turning paintball guns into automatic rifles, I just kept thinking, well, I guess we have a frickin' level 6 on our hands, better call the patronage. But then he just kept getting sillier. And you know what? I love him for it. But just because he's a level 1 doesn't mean he's not a winner. Because my friends, at the end of this year, we're taking all the demons we analyzed, from Pazuzu to Crowley and beyond, and having an end-of-the-year special to award our demons the prizes they so deserve. Who do you think so far has most embodied the concept, however ineffable it might be, of demon? Which one just straight up is your favorite? Let us know down in the comments section, and while you're at it, let us know who you want us to look at next. Because when December rolls around, myself and a group of demon expert VTubers will be stacking them all together to see who comes out on top. You're not going to want to miss it. Also, if you like this little world of the Paladin Archives you see here and you want to learn more, we have so much more waiting for you. If you head to our website, linked down in the description, you can learn about our debut novel, The Paladin, the story of Jonathan Sutter, a priest in training whose mentor is lost to a demon. Thrust into the world of monsters and demons, Jonathan is offered a lifeline by the Paladin Order. But why are they so interested in our little hero? Check out sample chapters on the website, see some amazing art, learn some interesting facts about the Order, and even find out what Paladin discipline you belong to. Again, link down in the description. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to hit us up on Twitter and catch our regular streams over on Twitch. We play chill games, talk about Ultra S'mores, and of course, go over Paladin stuff. I gotta run now. Mason Cardona needs some help with some new dark shop finds they brought into artifacts, and frankly, I owe her one. She kinda covered for me when I lost a copy of the Celestial and Infernal Lexicon. Until next time, keep your eyes peeled. You never know what's hiding out there. Oh, what's this one? And then shall the librarian glorified realize the Goetia Stolas would have been a better video. What?